Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So it is a very solemn time for us as we sit in practice with Reverend Jikyō Wolfer, who retired not very long ago as our Vice Abbot at Olympia Zen Center. She received monk's ordination in 2005, and then she received Dharma transmission in 2010. During the 10 years that she lived at Olympia Zen Center, she got her master's degree in counseling psychology at St. Martin's University. And she worked in various organizations during that time toward her degree in counseling situations. She also became our editor for Temple Ground Press, which is a publishing company that I started to publish works by or Dharma teachings by women priests in the United States. And she was our very excellent editor. And she edited several books that were collections of essays by women priests, Soto women priests. And she was also the editor for a book by Gian Roshi, A Blueprint of Enlightenment. She had many skills. She was an avid reader. Well, she's so fast in her reading. Amazed me at how many books she could read so quickly. And so she was very widely read and studied. She loved hiking. She lived a year in Australia. She started a sitting group in Port Angeles that is still continuing. So she spent a year also then in Australia. She was thinking of moving to Australia where her daughter, son-in-law, and grandchildren live. She has just one daughter. And that didn't work out, but she spent the year traveling around in Australia, hiking in the mountains and hiking along the shore, the beaches of Australia, which are all very, very beautiful. She did her monk's training, her monastic training at Shasta Abbey in California. And so she had many skills, and her name, Eidō Jikyō. Eidō means clear, bright way, and Jikyō means holding the sutras. So she's very strong in her practice, in her understanding of the Dharma, in her personality, and in her just manner. She had also worked in the Attorney General's office as a law secretary. She had also been administrator of the library up in Port Angeles, somewhere up there. She had many experiences and many skills, and she had been a trail developer in Colorado, and she and I put the trail in down here, cut through the trees and put in the trail that goes all the way around our property, the path of the ancestors. And so anyway, a person of many skills. She had suffered from a very difficult disease that was very hard to contain, and she had actually been working with illness for about 9 years. So she was very strong in her attitude of holding life and living life. And even to the end, she was strong, not giving up life. So difficult for us to give up life. Hardly anybody really wants to die. We may get ill and we may be suffering, and still it's over. It's just over for us when we die, and we don't want to give up this life. Something also very interesting happens when someone close to us dies. We discover that we are far more intimate with them than we had when the body was in front of us. This very strong intimacy, as though their voice is strong in us and we can hear them speak to us. And that intimacy is startling and very beautiful and wonderful. And somehow, when that happens, we feel like, oh, the body has been in the way all this time. The body makes things so complicated. Something like flying in an airplane. When you go up in an airplane, life is very simple. When you get off the plane and you engage then with the earth and all of the people, it's complicated again. So Dogen Zenji talks about life and death. It's one of his shortest fascicles. Just a page and a half. Mere 5 paragraphs. He says, because there is Buddha within living and dying, life and death do not exist. And in response, the following was said, because the Buddha did not exist within life and death, he was not infatuated with living and dying. These words are the very heart of what was said by the 2 meditation masters, Kasan and Jōzan. Since they are the words of persons who have realized the way, we can certainly profit by them, and not in vain. Anyone who wishes to be freed from life and death should clarify this principle. Should you seek for Buddha outside of living and dying, you are like the one who pointed his cart north and drove off to the country of Etsu in the south, or like someone who faces south, hoping to see the North Star. It would be your piling up more and more causes of life and death, while missing the path to liberation. Simply put, living and dying is what nirvana is, for there is nothing to despise in living and dying, nor anything to be wished for in nirvana. My meditation master, my training master in Japan, always referred to someone dying as, oh, he went into nirvana. Oh, she's in nirvana now. But of course, Dogen is telling us that we are in nirvana right now. We are living nirvana. And that life is the Dharma moment of this life, and death is the Dharma moment of that death. And Dogen teaches also that life does not move into death, nor death into life. They are the particular Dharma moments of that existence. It's very difficult for us to work with or to understand, because it's impossible to imagine oneself dead. Because we are living in that imagination, and it's impossible. We can't imagine being dead. We could think that we are looking out at our body sitting there somewhere or lying down on this floor, but that's different from actually being dead or really, really imagining ourselves dead. It just cannot be done. And even when we see somebody, we see a body, and so we were standing around the bedside on Monday after the body had been washed and prepared for cremation. If you look at the body, you look at the face, you are sure that that person is going to speak to you any moment. You're sure that some life is still there, or maybe there's a movement of the cheek or something like that. And it's just an imagination, because we are used to animation. We look at one another and we see animation around us all the time. So even in death, looking at another person who has died, we project animation into them. And of course, the body is in motion even in death. The body begins to decay, and there's a great deal of activity around the decay of death. Your fingernails continue to grow, your hair continues to grow after you die for 3 days. And when it is a monk who has died, there's a great deal of ritual around the care of a monk. And so there's much activity going on around the people who are caring for this. So we are in the sense of quietude and a sense of mourning and a sense of great loss at our friend Jikyō, Reverend Jikyō. Roshi has been told, Roshi is my teacher. In our lineage, what happens that when you receive Dharma transmission, you become a child of that priest. So Roshi is my father, and Jikyō is my daughter. She's my child. So that is how we carry the lineages from father or mother to child. And then, so Roshi, as Jikyō's grandfather, has a lighted candle at Ensuji, and he will be chanting on the funeral day, which will be the Saturday after Thanksgiving. And so a ceremony will be happening also at Ensuji in Japan at the same time. Also, I have received condolences from teachers all over the United States, as I've had to inform all of these people. Many people knew Jikyō since she was the editor, so she connected with so many women priests and men priests around the United States. And so I have received many, many, many words of condolence. And all of those will be read at her funeral. So for this priest, it is the loss of my child, my Dharma child. And for Roshi, the loss of his grandchild in Dharma. So it is a big thing for us to hold and to feel, and all of our practice then for 49 days will be offered for the merit of Reverend Jikyō as she begins her journey to the sky or through the sky. We don't know, we just don't know, but she enters nirvana. So I'm not going to talk so long tonight. I want to just read a poem that I wrote quite a number of years ago, but I remembered it because when we were preparing Jikyō's body, when we lifted up her head to wash her, her eyes opened. And it reminded me of this poem that I wrote. And I said to everybody, please do not close her eyes. When you look into the eyes of a dead person, you see into the deep soul. You see into the deep soul of death. And it's so utterly beautiful. And so please do not close her eyes. So when we sat with her afterwards, we could sit with her eyes open and feel a sense of her spirit with us. There are many people who are frightened by keeping a person's eyes open in death, and it's actually very beautiful. So I wrote this poem after being with somebody else who had died, and it was very much about that. I will just read this and then we'll close. So this poem is called Testament. Do not close my eyes when I die. Leave them to the gaze of earth, to the twirling maple leaves in flight, to the blue flame that turns me to ash. Leave my mouth as it is, parted to celebration of the last breath, to inspiration of hope with riddled words I might have uttered to say what cannot be said. Let my hands lie beside me as they will, careless and open, holding on to nothing, not a holy book, rosary, or flower, save the wind from the south at night when the moon is new. Do not change what I wear on that final day, some form of cover that makes visible the soul of happenstance and rhythm of the natural day. Sit beside me and look into the stilled eyes of joy and passion that did the work of some devotion and song. May you say of me that I did my best. So I offer that to Reverend Jikyō. So we will have a ceremony of cremation on Monday at 9:00 at Funeral Alternatives on Willamette Drive in Lacey. Everyone is welcome to join us. If you come, please bring an offering of flowers or greenery. And the funeral will be on Saturday, the day after Thanksgiving at 11:00 here at Olympia Zen Center.